So it's been a year since the Nintendo Switch launched, and I figured it'd be cool to kind of look back at the first year of the system and sort of reflect on how things have gone. Now, I'm going to start by going back a bit further, actually. Back in 2016, the Nintendo community was dying to learn more about what was then the NX. Rumors were flying around almost daily. I remember when the cartridge rumor started, and many people were like, no way, this thing is going to have discs. Like, just get that out of your head. Cartridges aren't coming back. But come October, the system had its initial reveal. We got this trailer showing off the console as well as its features. Still, in my opinion, the best ad they've done for the system so far. I mean, when this thing started and the guy is playing Breath of the Wild on his TV, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. And then when he pulls that sucker out and takes it with him on the walk with his dog, oh, relief, really. I was relieved that they were doing something awesome. When you're talking smart moves, the handheld market has always been dominated by Nintendo. Everyone has tried to dethrone them, Sega, Sony, and no one can even touch them in this space. And this is why I didn't really get why so many people, when this system was revealed, they thought it was going to flop. I really didn't understand it. I'm not saying, you know, I was going off saying, oh yeah, it's going to be this huge success. I wasn't saying it was going to be as big of a success as it ended up being. But when you take into account the history of Nintendo's handhelds, they all do well. And you see, I covered the Wii U almost exclusively during its day, and the one thing that was almost unanimous among those coming to my channel was that it was awesome to play the games on the gamepad off the TV. But it sucks that you essentially had to be in the same room as the system itself to do that. This feels like the system the Wii U should have been. It's likely they were almost there, but just not quite. So then it was put on ice for a couple months until the big event in January, where we got an in-depth look at everything, how the system works, the Joy-Cons, HD Rumble. But as anyone who follows gaming, the most important thing was the games, of course. A variety of stuff for sure, 1-2 Switch, ARMS, stuff like that was neat for showing how the Joy-Con stuff works, I guess. But they had heavy hitters, and a good amount of them. Mario Kart, Splatoon 2, Mario Odyssey, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Shin Megami Tensei 5. That's right, they first teased that game in January of last year. I'm going to be keeping an eye on how long it takes between that tease and when the game actually releases. They had third-party stuff like FIFA and Skyrim, and then there was the game that at that point had been the source of much excitement and hype, but also a lot of frustration for the Nintendo fan base. Delay after delay. Oh, it's coming in 2015. Wait, we meant 2016. Oh, never mind that. And on March 3rd, 2017, the launch day of the Nintendo Switch, we finally got The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm going to be honest, I wanted to be able to talk more smack about how long they jerked us around with the release of this game. It was still BS, in my opinion, but my god, was this wait worth it? Now, there wasn't much else on launch day for the system. I think the only thing you could actually buy physically besides Zelda on day one was that weak sauce Bomberman game. There was some solid stuff to download though, Shovel Knight, Fast RMX, which I've praised before, I Am Setsuna. It's not like there was nothing else to play, I'll admit. But honestly, it didn't really matter. The system could have launched with only Zelda available day one, and I think the hype, the initial sales, and everything would still be about the same, and deservedly so, because that game was simply amazing. Like, it's going up. It's moving upwards in my list of favorite games of all time as time goes on. Like, I thought it was amazing, sure, when I first played it, but I've been doing my Master Quest run now, and it's like I'm just liking it more. But after that, for those first months, the releases were kind of slow, to be honest. Now, I'm not going to talk about every game in this video, guys, especially as I'm going through, like, the first year of the system. Alright, relax. Try to refrain from copy and pasting every game release of the year in the comments. But the first couple months were light on releases. You know, it was over a month later that we got the next big game, which was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, a port, but a damn good one, with some solid added features, including the battle mode. I'll admit, I was rough on this before I played it myself. I did talk some trash on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but when I played that new battle mode, I was very happy I bought it. In May, and this might not even be of note to many of you, but it really pisses me off, so I gotta go over it. In May, we got Ultra Street Fighter 2 for $40. Now, those of you who follow me, you know I'm a stickler about prices, especially for older games. I thought this was insanely overpriced when it came out, okay? But you want to talk about salt in the wound. This May, a year later, we're going to get the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection on a bunch of systems, including the Switch. Now, I am going to mindlessly list some games here. This collection includes the following: Street Fighter, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, Super Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter Alpha 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3, Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter 3 Second Impact, and Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Also, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter 3 Alpha 3, and Street Fighter 3 Third Strike will all have online multiplayer. All of this can be yours for $40. The same price they sold the Ultra Street Fighter 2 standalone. You, Capcom. You. Moving into the summer, I thought Nintendo's E3 presentation was awesome. A lot of stuff there that we hadn't seen before. It was nice to see Kirby finally coming back to home consoles in a real Kirby game. And now its release is right around the corner, actually. But the highlights, obviously, were the announcements for Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon for the Nintendo Switch. These were the bombshells that are still being rumored and speculated over nonstop. While they didn't show anything really for either game, just mentioning them was enough to get people going crazy. Also in the summer, we got ARMS and Splatoon 2 pretty much back to back. Things started to really ramp up a bit here. 2 brand new games from Nintendo. ARMS didn't exactly light the world on fire. It sold well, but I think its future as a mainstay is still probably a bit in question. I think they were kind of hoping for this new IP to be sort of like their next Splatoon, but in the fighting game genre. Like I said, sales were good, so, you know, who knows what's going to happen with this franchise. But I don't see much interest in it in general in the Nintendo community. I do think they could get something more solid if they built off this, though. Obviously, when you have a new IP that tries to do a bunch of new stuff, you're going to stumble a lot more. So if they built on this and did an ARMS 2, I think they could do something really cool. Splatoon 2, on the other hand, really cemented Splatoon as a mainstay for Nintendo. This is a big brand right up there with Nintendo's other major players, and it's worth reaffirming that it's awesome to see Nintendo do so well in a genre like shooters, which before Splatoon, they didn't have a foothold in. Because since third-party support is usually lacking on Nintendo systems, it's nice that they try to give players, you know, this variety of experiences from their own IPs. And things went pretty solid throughout the end of the year. The big Bethesda beaters, Skyrim and Doom, made their debut on the platform. Mario Odyssey, I mean, come on. You want to talk about a game to close out the year, right? And Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild led Nintendo to pretty much compete with themselves on many Game of the Year lists and award shows. You know, rather than what was the best game of this year, most of the debates became which Nintendo game was the best this year. And we closed out with Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I still can't believe made it before the end of the year. The system really needed a large-scale AAA RPG, and this one did not disappoint. But as we have gotten into 2018, things have slowed down a bit, quite a bit. And that's mostly normal, to be fair. We tend to see these companies have a huge push through the holidays, and then we usually have a bit of a lull in the time after that. We had the Direct Mini, which mostly focused on new information for games we already knew about, or were already released, but it had some new stuff, okay, give it credit. We learned about Mario Tennis Aces, Dark Souls Remastered, The World Ends With You coming to the Switch. We've had some releases too. Bayonetta 1 and 2 have been my standouts for right now. Kirby is coming soon, but I understand hype isn't exactly at an all-time high, and I think I know why. We know stuff is coming, we just don't know what it is or much about it. Fire Emblem, for instance, is still slated for 2018. I think if that game got a major gameplay reveal, that would perk up some ears, but also, we don't know what they have planned as their big blockbuster. Nintendo crushed expectations last year, releasing both Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, and while I wouldn't expect necessarily the same level of a 1-2 punch this year, we need one game that feels like it's on that level. A lot of rumors are saying Pokemon may end up being that big 2018 game. Kimishima has said he expects the Switch to do even bigger numbers this year, so yeah, he better have a big blockbuster like that planned if he wants to move a bunch of systems. And if we finally saw that title, like actually running on the Switch, you know, seeing what the game's gonna look like and everything, good luck to any haters trying to downplay the hype, because it's gonna be overwhelming. I think people are they're yearning to know more, and if the first year of the Switch is anything to go off of, Nintendo knows they need to make some big moves to keep that hype train alive. So for 2018, it's still early, I'm still optimistic, but yes, I will agree with many of you that we certainly need to start getting some more knowledge about the big stuff that's coming. And with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on the first year of the Nintendo Switch in the comments. Also, how do you think the system is looking as we head into its second year? As always, I'm John Zacari, and thanks for watching.